My beloved child, listen quietly for a moment. Let your heart settle. This message did not arrive by accident, and you did not open it randomly. There is a reason you are here, right now, at this exact moment in your life. God sees the questions you haven't spoken out loud. He sees the confusion you've been carrying, the emotional weight you've been trying to manage alone, and the subtle unease you feel when something doesn't line up the way you hoped it would. There is someone in your life who says the words you want to hear. They speak softly. They say they love you. They promise safety, loyalty, presence, and future. They may even use spiritual language, mentioning God, destiny, or purpose. On the surface, everything sounds right. But deep inside, something has been unsettled. Not loud enough to alarm you, yet persistent enough that you can't fully ignore it. That quiet tension in your spirit is not anxiety. It is discernment. God is not trying to scare you. He is trying to protect you. Love that comes from God brings peace, even when it challenges you. Love that is not aligned with God brings confusion, emotional exhaustion, and inner conflict, even when it feels intense or exciting. You've been feeling torn because one part of you wants to believe the words you are hearing, while another part of you keeps noticing what isn't matching up. God has been watching this carefully. He has allowed time to pass, conversations to happen, patterns to repeat, because exposure requires clarity, and clarity requires patience. You've been asking God silently, sometimes with words, sometimes just with tears, is this real? You've asked, am I imagining the red flags? You've wondered if you're being too sensitive, too spiritual, too guarded. But God is not asking you to ignore wisdom in the name of love. He is not asking you to settle for language that sounds holy but produces fruit that leaves you drained. The truth is this: God will never allow you to remain bonded to a lie forever. If someone truly loves you in a way that aligns with God, their actions will strengthen your faith, not weaken it. Their presence will draw you closer to peace, not keep you in cycles of doubt. Their words will be consistent with their behavior, not inspirational speeches that excuse repeated wounds. God measures love by fruit, not promises. By consistency, not chemistry. By sacrifice, not charm. Right now, God is preparing to reveal what you have been sensing but couldn't yet prove. He is not doing this to embarrass anyone. He is doing this to free you. You may think, but they say they love me. And they may believe that themselves. But love without truth is not love, it is attachment. Love without integrity is manipulation, even when it's unintentional. Love that requires you to ignore your God-given intuition is not a blessing. It is a test. God has been watching how much you've been willing to endure just to keep peace. He's seen you minimize your feelings, justify behavior, and pray harder instead of walking away when your spirit felt unsettled. He honors your loyalty. He honors your desire to see the best in people. But He will not let your kindness become the reason you are harmed. This is why things are starting to shift. Conversations may begin to feel different. You may notice contradictions you didn't notice before. Promises may be delayed again. Actions may expose motives words tried to hide. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is God gently pulling back the curtain so you can see clearly without being forced. Exposure doesn't always come through dramatic betrayal. Sometimes it comes through clarity so undeniable that you can no longer unsee it. Sometimes it comes when God allows someone to be exactly who they are, without your prayers covering their inconsistencies anymore. You are not losing them. You are gaining truth, and truth, even when it hurts at first, is always an act of love from God. You may be tempted to hold on tighter when you feel the shift happening. That is natural. The heart often tries to preserve what the spirit already knows it must release. But hear this carefully: anything God removes was never meant to define your future. Anything He exposes was never meant to have lifelong access to your heart. God is not taking love away from you. He is protecting the kind of love you are meant to receive. There is a difference between someone loving you and someone being capable of stewarding your heart. God is deeply concerned with how your heart is handled. He sees how precious you are, how deeply you feel, how sincerely you love. He will not entrust that to someone who only loves the idea of you, the comfort you provide, or the way you make them feel seen, without being willing to offer the same depth in return. Right now, heaven is quiet but attentive. God is watching how you respond when the truth begins to surface. Will you cling to words, or will you trust the peace that comes with clarity? Will you override your discernment to avoid pain? Or will you allow temporary discomfort to save you from long-term heartbreak? You are not weak for wanting love. You are not foolish for believing people. But you are being invited into a higher level of wisdom. One where you no longer confuse intensity with intimacy, or promises with commitment, or attention with alignment. God knows what you've been praying for behind closed doors. He knows you asked Him not to let you be deceived, not to let you waste years of your life, not to let you settle for less than His best. He is answering that prayer now. Exposure is not punishment. It is protection wrapped in mercy. As this unfolds, stay close to God. Resist the urge to confront out of emotion. Let truth reveal itself naturally. What is real will remain steady. What is false will eventually collapse under its own weight. You do not have to force clarity when God is already bringing it. Trust what you are about to see, trust what your spirit has been whispering, and most of all, trust that God's love for you is far deeper, far purer, and far more faithful than anything you could ever lose. Take a slow breath. Let the words you've already read sink deep, not just into your thoughts but into your spirit. What God is revealing now is not meant to rush you, it is meant to steady you. This next part goes deeper, because God doesn't just expose truth on the surface, He reveals what's underneath, what has been shaping your emotions, your choices, and your waiting. You've noticed how often you've been the one holding things together. You're the one who explains. The one who forgives quickly. The one who prays after conversations that leave you unsettled. You've been asking yourself whether love is supposed to feel this hard, this uncertain, this heavy. You've wondered if faith means enduring confusion in silence. But God never asked you to suffer in order to prove devotion. There is a difference between patience and endurance, and God is teaching you that now. Patience waits for what is growing. Endurance survives what is harming. You were never created to survive love. Love is meant to nourish you, strengthen you, and bring clarity, not keep you in a constant state of emotional defense. God has been watching how much you've given without receiving the same depth in return. He has seen you pour understanding into someone who keeps you guessing. He has seen you extend grace to someone who has not taken responsibility for the way they affect you. This doesn't mean they are evil. It means they are not aligned with where God is taking you. Sometimes people say I love you because they are afraid to lose access to you, not because they are prepared to honor you. And God knows the difference. That's why your peace has been inconsistent. That's why the joy you feel around them fades quickly once you're alone. That's why you feel spiritually drained instead of spiritually anchored. God is not exposing the truth to punish your hope. He is protecting your future. You've been standing at a spiritual crossroads without realizing it. One path leads to staying familiar, continuing to explain, excuse, and emotionally carry a connection that feels safe only because it's known. The other path leads to growth, even though it requires letting go of something you once prayed would last. God always leads forward, not backward. And forward sometimes feels like loss before it feels like freedom. Pay attention to what is increasing and what is diminishing in your life right now. Is your faith growing stronger, or are you constantly questioning yourself? Is your peace increasing, or are you anxious more often than calm? Are you becoming more of who God called you to be, or are you shrinking to maintain harmony? These questions are not meant to condemn you, they are meant to guide you. God does not ask you to abandon yourself in order to be loved. If this person truly belonged in your future, you would not need to beg God for clarity this often. You would not feel the need to repeatedly silence your intuition. God is not the author of confusion, and He will not bind you to someone who thrives in ambiguity while you crave truth. You may fear what happens if the truth is fully revealed. You may fear confrontation, loss, loneliness, or regret. But God wants you to know this. The loneliness you fear is far less damaging than the loneliness you've been living with while trying to stay connected to someone who cannot fully meet you. God has something better prepared, not necessarily someone new immediately, but a version of you that is lighter, clearer, and no longer second-guessing their worth. He wants your heart whole, not divided between love and worry. As truth unfolds, you might notice emotional distance growing. You might notice them becoming defensive, inconsistent, or suddenly unclear when clarity is requested. These are not signs you should try harder. These are confirmations of what God has been showing you all along. When God exposes truth, He also provides grace. You are not expected to react perfectly. You are not required to make dramatic decisions overnight. What God desires most is your trust. Trust that He sees what you cannot. Trust that He knows how deeply this affects you. Trust that nothing removed is greater than what He is preparing to restore. Your heart is not a battlefield for mixed signals. It is a sacred space. God guards what is sacred. What's coming next will bring more clarity. But it will also bring peace if you let it. Do not rush ahead. Do not rush back. Stay centered in God's presence. Speak less. Observe more. The truth does not need help revealing itself. You are being gently untangled from something that could have slowly damaged your spirit if it remained hidden. This is mercy, even if it doesn't feel like it yet, and remember this clearly: God does not expose truth to leave you broken. He exposes it to lead you into wholeness. Stay with me. This is quieter, deeper, and more personal. What God is doing now is not just about someone else's actions, it's about restoring your clarity, your confidence, and your ability to trust yourself again. You may have noticed that lately you've been replaying conversations in your mind. Not because you're dramatic, but because something didn't sit right. A tone that changed. A promise that sounded sincere but lacked follow-through. Moments where affection appeared only when it was convenient. These patterns aren't small. They are signals. And God has been patient, allowing you to notice them at your own pace so the truth would be yours, not forced upon you. God respects your heart too much to rip something away without understanding. That's why the exposure is gradual. He wants you strong, not shocked. He wants you aware, not resentful. When clarity arrives gently, it becomes wisdom instead of trauma. You have been more spiritually alert than you realize. Every time you felt uneasy and prayed instead of reacting, God took note. Every time you chose silence over argument, observation over accusation, He was strengthening your discernment. You are not losing control, you are gaining sight. There is something important God wants you to understand now. Love does not require you to abandon self-respect. True love never asks you to compromise your values, ignore truth, or accept inconsistency as normal. If you have to repeatedly lower your expectations just to keep someone close, that connection is already costing you more than you admit. You may be holding on to the potential of who they could be, not the reality of who they are. God deals in truth, not potential. He blesses what is surrendered, not what is imagined. And He will not let you stay attached to a version of someone that only exists in hope. The coming exposure may happen through words, or through silence. Sometimes God allows people to reveal themselves by what they stop doing, not just by what they do wrong. When effort fades, when presence becomes conditional, when accountability feels like an attack to them, the truth becomes clearer without confrontation. Do not chase explanation where God is offering revelation. You might feel a subtle grief rising, not dramatic sadness, but the grief of realizing something is not what you believed it was. Let that grief move through you. Don't resist it. Grief is not weakness. It is release. It is the heart adjusting to truth. God is closer to you in this moment than you think. He is not watching from a distance, He is steadying you from within. Every time you choose peace over panic, you are aligning with Him. Every time you honor your intuition instead of dismissing it, you are healing, and this is crucial. The truth God reveals will not destroy you. It will strengthen you. It will restore your voice, your boundaries, and your ability to trust love again, real love, grounded love, God-aligned love. What you're walking away from does not define you. What you're walking toward does. There is nothing wasted here. Not the tears, not the time, not the prayers. God redeems understanding. He uses exposure to refine, not to shame. You are not foolish for hoping. You are wise for listening now. Very soon, you will feel something lift. A sense of relief you didn't realize you were missing. When that happens, don't rush to fill the space. Let God occupy it. Let Him restore your joy without strings attached. You are not being emptied. You are being made ready, and as the truth becomes undeniable, remember, you don't need to defend your decision to honor yourself. God Himself is validating it. Take this last portion slowly. Let it rest on you, not as information, but as assurance. What God wants you to walk away with now is not fear, not regret, and not bitterness, but peace rooted in truth. By the time everything is fully revealed, you will no longer feel the urge to argue with reality. That is one of the clearest signs that God has completed His work in your heart. The need to explain, convince, or wait for closure will fade, because clarity itself becomes closure. You will understand without needing an apology. You will release without needing permission. God has been preparing you for this moment longer than you know. Long before you questioned their intentions, God was strengthening your identity. Long before you sensed inconsistency, God was anchoring your worth so it wouldn't be shaken by someone else's inability to love fully. This was never about rejection. It was about redirection, and here is the truth that heals most deeply. If someone truly belonged in your destiny, God would not need to expose them to remove them. They would grow with you, not confuse you. They would protect your heart, not test your endurance. God does not take away what He designed to last. When you finally step back, you may realize you were holding on out of habit more than hope. You were attached to the effort you had already invested, the memories you didn't want to reinterpret, the prayers you hoped would change someone else instead of freeing you. God is gently reminding you that love is not something you have to negotiate for. It flows naturally when it is right. Do not fear the quiet that follows this release. God often speaks most clearly when noise falls away. In that quiet, you will rediscover parts of yourself you set aside, your laughter without tension, your faith without constant questioning, your confidence without needing validation. Something important will happen inside you. You will forgive without reopening the door. You will remember without longing. You will bless without returning. That is healing. That is strength. That is God completing the work He started. What comes next may not arrive immediately in the form you expect. But peace will. Clarity will. Direction will. And when love comes again, because it will, you will recognize the difference instantly. It will not rush you. It will not confuse you. It will feel safe, steady, and deeply aligned with who you've become. Until then, God is enough. More than enough. He fills the space where false attachment once lived. He restores what uncertainty drained. He honors the courage it took for you to listen when truth knocked quietly instead of dramatically. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be to move forward wisely. What God exposed was necessary. What He preserved in you is sacred. Carry this truth with you. God's love never leaves you doubting your worth. It confirms it. You are held. You are guided.